Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alan Smason, and welcome once again to NOLA Theater Talk. This is part of the outreach that we have with the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, which is available for you to join as a member. If not, you can watch these broadcasts over the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, not the website, but the Facebook page that supports that website, and also on my own YouTube Music Lovers 169 channel that you can also become a subscriber or not. Up to you. Does not really require any subscription on your part. Tonight, we are continuing our conversation that we started back several months ago with various theater critics. Those of you who joined in for that conversation were part of the largest gathering that ever occurred over NOLA Theater Talk, at least according to the analytics that we've examined. Something over 600 people watched as the theater critics that we had in assembly that night talked about the state of theater in New Orleans. That was early on during the pandemic. And of course, at that time, we were joined by Brad Rhines, Ted Main, who are, of course, associated with the Times-Picayune, New Orleans Advocate. We also, of course, had Bruce Burgun, Jim O'Quinn, who has retired to New Orleans, formerly the editor of American Theater Magazine. And we also had Christopher Rawson, who joined us from Pittsburgh, the gentleman who coined the term Pittsburgh Cycle for August Wilson's cycle of plays, the Century plays that he wrote. Tonight, we continue with no less august a group, two of my fellow committee members from the Big Easy Theater Committee. And the first one I'm going to bring up, I guess in alphabetical order we'll do it, so we'll be politically correct. Ronald Flagge. Ron, nice to see you tonight. And again, even though you've been a member of the Big Easy Theater Committee for how long?
A little bit over a year.
A little bit over a year. So you've been on one of the newest members, okay, of the theater committee that we have. And I should mention that the other guest that we have tonight is the second oldest member of the Big Easy Theater Committee. That's Brian Sands. And Brian, you are only outdone by one other person on that committee. Is that correct? In terms of
I think two. You and Troy Tillman.
Yeah. Yep. So okay. I thought you were about three behind me. But Brian Sands, also associated with Ambush Magazine. And again, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Very important time for us to talk about theater here. We all, of course, are concerned about the pandemic shutting down all the theaters, and of course, there's a lot of questions going on as to how we're going to safely reopen our theaters, and again, other questions relating to inclusivity and diversity and things of that sort that are going on as well. It's an opportunity for us to all sit and examine, where we are, where we've been, where we are going to hopefully be in the future. But it's also, a troubling time because we don't know the questions to a lot of the answers to the questions that we're posing. When will we get back? When will phase 3 and 4 actually occur? And what is that going to look like? I mean, has the state of theater permanently changed? Are we expecting that everybody inside a theater is now going to be temperature checked? Everybody's going to be wearing a mask henceforth, and even beyond the time that a vaccine actually does arrive? I'm not sure. And these are questions that we have to pose. So before we get started, as usually is our tradition, I usually ask people to bring a drink in. And Brian, it's not a secret. Brian is actually here at my residence today, and I prepared for him a special cocktail. Now, Brian, do you know what this is?
No, tell me.
I thought you'd guess. So
I have. Oh, okay.
So it's a couple of 2 or 3 dashes of Angostura bitters.
Lovely.
And then 2 ounces of rye whiskey and a half ounce of sweet vermouth, and a cherry. Do you notice your cherry in there?
I found my cherry. Yes.
That is called a Manhattan.
Lovely.
And because we have such an affinity for Broadway, I thought that it was an appropriate drink for me to prepare for you.
Lovely.
So I'm looking at pomegranate juice. Is that what you brought to the table? Huh?
It's one of my new favorites. Probably had it over the years, but then lately I've been.
I like pomegranates. I like pomegranates, but it's a drink that is a little. The fact that it comes from the seeds and you can't eat the rest of it, it's a fruit that defies description sometimes. So let's see if we can get the ball rolling. First off, Ronald, give me a little bit of background on you. Brian, he and I know each other a long time. So tell me a little bit how you came to the Big Easy Theater Committee and what your background is in theater.
Well, my theater background started in New Orleans as a kid, doing shows in school. And I really never thought about doing it, making a living. It was just something I enjoyed doing. And all through high school, didn't do one play when I was in college because I started singing with a local band. And I did the clubs in New Orleans, from Club 77 to the Nightcap. We used to open for the Neville Brothers way back then in the 70s. And then I moved to California when I graduated from college. And that's when I guess, really got serious about becoming a professional actor. And I did. And moved back to New Orleans in 1990 when my mom and dad were sick. And I never regretted it. I just sort of fell in love with New Orleans again, because when I left in the 70s, it wasn't a love story. I just had to get out of the South. I just couldn't take it anymore. And since being back here, I've worked so much. So much theater, musicals, television, film, commercials. I've literally done it all since I moved back here to New Orleans. So it was one of the best things I'd ever done. I love it.
And how did you find out about the Big Easy? Did they reach out to you, the Big Easy Committee, John Broder?
Well, I always loved it. I always loved the Big Easy. Matter of fact, the first Big Easy event I went to was in 2001 when we did Jitney and August Wilson play. You mentioned him earlier.
Sure.
With Wendell Pierce directing, starring, and producing it. Yeah. And we won the Big Easy Award for the best play. And I when I walked into the room, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. When I walked into the room, I felt like I was back in Los Angeles at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion or any of the big places. I was like, this is New Orleans. I mean, I felt so proud that my city, my hometown, could put on an event like that. And ever since then, I just loved the Big East Committee. I was like, whoever these people are, I love them. It was like such class. Yeah. It was just such class. And I was like, I like the way you guys roll.
Well, you can't really say me or Brian. We're like you. We serve on the committee. One of the things that the Big Easy Theater Committee is asked to do is to attend as many plays, musicals, works of theater as you possibly can. Sometimes I know, Brian, you and I see each other all the time. We'll see as many as 100 or more works throughout a year, and we have the program to show. Again, Brian, you and I both have written theater reviews on a regular basis for probably 20 plus years. And I guess the question is, sort of how you fell into that. I mean, were you an arts person first and then a theater person, or how did that work?
I was always a theater person, doing acting and directing through junior high school, and college. But back in college, I would opine about movies or shows that I would see, and I was on the newspaper then, but on the business staff selling advertising. But we were allowed that if you were on one board, as they were called, you could do other things as well. Mm-hmm. So I started reviewing theater in Boston, got to see Katharine Hepburn, got to see Angela Lansbury and Sweeney Todd. And then back when I was, after college, I was back in New York. A friend of mine was running an alternative paper similar to Gambit that he asked me to be the theater editor for that. I did that for a few years until I moved down to New Orleans. And then one thing led to another. I was doing some articles for Ambush back in the 90s. And when their theater critic at the time retired, applied for the jobs, first started as co-theater critic with Patrick Shannon. And when
Yes.
he retired, I just continued on a bi-weekly basis for every issue. So that's been since I started writing in the end of 2002 and went solo in 2011.
And you've managed to, like me, actually become a theater critic who is known so well that you actually will review, like I do, the Broadway shows.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
that ramps up your.
And it kind of amuses me, not that Ambush is only New Orleans. We're distributed from Houston to Pensacola, and we're online. But I have no delusions that we're the New York Times. But the press people take us very seriously. And I had just been in New York before everything shut down, and was going to review a bunch of shows that I had seen there. But that is not the case right now.
Well, you imagine, Ronald, my I guess you might say my surprise. Last May, I was standing in line on a Tuesday evening waiting to see Beetlejuice. And I look up, and who passes me on the street but Brian Sands. And it was a cold night. Remember how bitterly cold it was? I had on my jacket and my hat. You had on your hat, but you were headed off to see Tootsie, if I'm not mistaken.
You are absolutely right. You have a great memory there.
Yeah, and I was actually meeting up with Alex Rybeck, who is a well-known arranger, composer, and pianist who accompanies a lot of people like Liz Calloway and other people like her sister Ann Hampton Calloway. And he's been around the New York cabaret scene for a long time. And Alex actually was at Yale, unlike you at Harvard, Brian.
Yeah,
but he was at the Yale cabaret school that they had. And many people from New Orleans used to go up and get
Lisa Picone,
yes.
Anais St. John, among others. I think Trina Beck also.
I think actually the late Cynthia Owen was there too. Yeah. So I want to remind you.
And while we're at it, let's give a shout out to Barbara Motley, who gave us such a wonderful venue with Le Chat Noir.
I think Amy Alvarez went, and she actually went to another. I'm trying to remember where it was, somewhere in the Midwest, and she'll probably let me know. Now, let me just mention the fact that all of you who are watching this, again, we appreciate you being with us tonight. Again, you may be watching it over the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, if you're a member, or maybe the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, or even maybe on my YouTube channel. All of you are welcome to post comments on Facebook. I'm not sure if the comments are going to show up on YouTube for me, but if you do post comments, you have to give permission to StreamYard.com/Facebook to get permission to use your name. Other than that, it's going to show up as a Facebook user or no name on it. So if you want us to answer a question for you, because we're here tonight to answer your questions as well, please do yourself a favor. Go on https://StreamYard.com. That's StreamYard, like a stream and like a yardstick. StreamYard.com/ again, the same way as the other slashes, Facebook. So StreamYard.com/, and if you do that, it'll give them permission to post your name. And we've had people in the past, like for instance, Carol Sutton posted some comments. We're able to see her not too long ago, and John Bostic, and so it's easier for us to know that we recognize who the names are, that we can answer your questions and know who it is that's posing them. Again, tonight, Brian Sands, Ronald Flagge, myself, Alan Smason. Again, we're hoping that we'll be able to talk a little bit about theater, and that if you have a question, that we can answer those questions for you. So let's just go on. First off, everything's shut down, as we all know.
No, well, not everything.
Well, I was about to get to that, but you actually have been to a theater that was open,
and is open. Yeah. And is open. This is its last weekend. I went to Mandeville a couple of weeks ago. The theater is 30 by 90. It's been around about 5 years. I discovered it about a year or so ago. They are currently doing a production of a comedy called The Hallelujah Girls. This is its final weekend. And I went 2 weeks ago for its first weekend. And I got to tell you, it was so exciting to see live people on stage again.
I could
It was
imagine.
great after 4 months, right? And it was a full house. Of course, it was half of a normal full house because they were socially distanced.
Right.
The theater is taking precautions. They do temperature checks before you enter. They have everyone wearing masks. So they're doing their best, but there really seems to be a real desire for people to see live theater again.
Right.
Is
exactly.
it possible you can resend that item? I never received it in my email. The picture you were going to send.
I will do so.
All right,
sure.
if you don't mind, I'm gonna. Meanwhile, I'm gonna remove you out while you're doing that and talk to Ronald. Ron, what kinds of theater have you been most affected by in your time on the Big Easy committee? What were the productions that really struck you over the course of this last year before we were
The
shut down?
last year, the NOLA project, I just love what they do.
Now, which of the works were you talking about in reference to the work that they did? Because they didn't get to pose anything this spring because of the pandemic, of course. But last year they
I'm
did.
talking about shows before that, right? Before the shutdown. I mean, the ones I saw at the museum.
Yeah.
The ones they did right there in the lobby, and then the one they did outside in the space. That
At the sculpture garden, the wall, the Simeon Wall, the sculpture garden. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, and then I did a show at Summer Lyric at Tulane, with Michael McElvey directing, Ragtime. You guys did get a chance to see that. It was great. It was great. I mean, you would felt like you were on Broadway.
Again, NOLA project has been the young lions, I used to call them when they first came in. Now that was
where everybody's a kid to me these days.
It's been 15 years now, and a number of the people who came to New Orleans originally as part of the NOLA project have moved on. Some gone to California, some gone back to their homes, etc. And then they've got some new people that have come in, and of course AJ Allegra, who was one of the founding members, along. I'm trying to remember everybody.
With Andrew Larimer.
And all Andrew Larimer. They all got together from Tisch School, if I'm not mistaken. Came down here at his direction, called it the NOLA project, and then Andrew actually left. He's now living in Texas. He's been on the show, and we've talked to him, of course. But I guess the question is, in terms of where they are now as opposed to where they were when they first came in. They first came into New Orleans. They really were not part of the scene. They had to kind of make their way into it. And now they're probably as much cutting edge as they are. I mean, they've received 2 of the grants, I know, in recent years.
I would say so. They do some really really good stuff.
The American Theater Wing, gave them grants for them to continue.
Well, it just comes down to the fact that for 15 years, they've done the work. They've done classics like Shakespeare. They've done new plays that they've, from like off-Broadway. And they've done original work. And they've done it year in, year out, 4 to 5 shows a season. And now they've been in residence, but not entirely so, at NOMA, which has given them a home, not a permanent home or not a full-time home, but at least it has allowed them for some stability and has allowed them to plug into NOMA's large list of people who are on their email list as well as the theater people.
Yeah, and it's great shows. I mean, very entertaining, I must say. Okay, I saw Harriet before the shutdown. I saw Harriet, and I saw Piano Lesson at Le Petit. Those are 2 shows. I got in right under the wire before the shutdown.
You're right. Harry and the Thief, I had no idea what it was about. I thought, like, Harry who? But it turned out to be about Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman.
A time-traveling plot that was so inventive and was great. Just great.
It was.
I mean,
because I was like, I'm like, okay, I'm worrying about politically correct and Are they going to do justice to Harriet Tubman? And I was floored. I mean, I'm laughing, tears in my eyes, and then Samantha Bouye did such a great job playing Harriet Tubman. It was just a great show. You know, hats off to him.
And what was great was that it wasn't just a history lesson; it was witty and fun and subversive and outrageous. Absolutely,
entertaining, and that's like one of my pet peeves. I know people want to feel like they give a message when they do a show sometimes, and I'm like, I'm all for that, really, okay? But please, can you entertain people in the meantime while you're doing that? Because if you're not, why should anybody leave their home and come out to the theater and see something and they're not entertained? So pick your subject, do what you want to do, but let's not get to entertain. Okay, that's my thing.
And I think what's interesting about the NOLA project is I've seen some of the productions they've done have been some of the greatest things I've seen anywhere, including their Alice in Wonderland in City Park.
I love that one too.
And one of their first Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. Others I haven't liked. Yeah. But then talking to other people, they've enjoyed them. And it's great that they've done such a wide range of things that it's been something for everyone.
The only time Stephen Sondheim's Assassins has been performed in New Orleans was with the NOLA project.
Absolutely.
And it was a over-the-top. Ricky Graham was in it. Wonderful production. I enjoyed everybody in it. But, you know, I think Lisa McConey Love, as you mentioned, she was in it. And
Alex Polis won an Emmy Award.
Oh, yes, he did. And he was hysterical. Just some wonderful renditions of Shakespeare, as you mentioned. But some of the things you wouldn't expect. What was the one that they did? I know when I had AJ on, it was supposed to be sort of a children's piece, but it was really adult. And
that doesn't narrow it down. They've done a lot of those.
But this is Mr. Somebody or other.
Mr. Marmalade.
Mr. Marmalade, yes.
Yeah.
Don't know why I'm
with Natalie Boyd.
Yes, Natalie Boyd was wonderful, and you know they've done so many things, good things. I believe we had a comment, and again we're inviting people to make comments tonight. It says it's always good to see theater people. What is Brian drinking? And again, I will let them know one more time because I've actually mixed it up for Brian. This is a Manhattan. So it's
yum.
It's about 2 parts rye whiskey, similar to what goes into a Sazerac, about a half of a part of sweet vermouth, and a few dashes of Angostura bitters, unlike the Sazerac, which uses the Peychaud bitters. And we have a cherry, which you can maybe.
I still have my cherry.
I do as well. So we have that. So that's what Brian is drinking. He's drinking what I'm mixing. So basically, that's it. And if you want to join in the conversation, again, we ask you to just go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and get permission to StreamYard to use your name, and we'll be able to post those questions. Now, Brian, thank you very much for sending me the picture. Finally, I was able to upload it. Tell me a little bit about this. Is the production you just saw, and you said this is
Laurie
and Nino Benora. Is that right?
Yes, they are married in real life. They play ex-high school sweethearts who had a falling out, and now there's a coming together as part of the plot where she is kind of going through a midlife crisis and has decided to renovate an old abandoned church into a day spa, which she does. But then her rival from high school, a nasty gal, wants to take it away from her. He plays the contractor who is trying to bring it up to code, and hilarity ensues. It's one of these kind of fun plays written by a trio of authors who have done things like the Savannah Sipping Society. It's kind of Neil Simon-esque. It is not by any means Shakespeare or Chekhov, but sitting there in that audience, I just kept smiling just to see live actors on a stage again after all these months.
You have done what I have been wanting to do for the last 4 months. You have seen live theater. Congratulations.
And let me tell you, I'd like to, if you don't mind, give a shout out to another live theater that will be a live production that will be starting in a couple of weeks. out in Slidell at Ricky Luke's theater. It's a production called Pete and Keely. I'm not sure exactly what it's about. I suspect it may have something to do with Keely Smith. I'm looking forward to it. It is going to be actually their final production. They've been doing shows first at Mina Capelli's and now at a new location in Old Slidell for at least 15 years, if not more. It's fun stuff. I think they've just decided to call it a day because of the challenges with the pandemic going on right now. But they'll be running, I think the kickoff date is August 14th, and we'll be running for 3 weekends, Friday and Saturday nights. And Ginger Luke is a chef there, and she cooks the most magnificent food, including a mouth-watering brisket that I'm looking forward to immensely.
So I just heard that one of the major, in my mind, but maybe not so major in terms of like a brick and mortar company, but a major non-brick and mortar company is going to be not coming back. I'm not going to reveal who it is, but but I will say that they have been over the course of the last several years have been very influential, have won a number of Big Easy awards, and unfortunately, this is not going to be possible financially, for them to be able to come back. This will be the first of what I'm afraid will be many theater companies that were, already operating, as precariously as they could, and it's unfortunate. The big companies that have the boards of directors and the patrons, the people who have the big subscriber bases, they'll probably be able to weather the storm. The people who were borrowing venues, renting a facility here and there and putting on a production and trying to make some money and then taking that money and putting it back into another production. Well, if they were investing in another production in March or April and they put that money down, it's gone.
Exactly.
And there's no way to recover from that.
But Alan, you are absolutely right. It will be sad. I'm not sure who you're referring to, but I'm sure I will be sad to see them go. Yes. But hopefully we will weather this storm as we did Katrina. And there is always going to be a need, despite Netflix and Hula and all the other things, there will always be a need for people to come together as a small group or a larger group to see live theater. And I suspect, I certainly hope, that other people will start their own theater companies, and maybe it will be a more diverse group than we've had in the past here in New Orleans. Yeah,
well, I understand that, but even some of the groups that have just started up, I mentioned, I don't want to mention anybody by name, but there've been several that have been, really promoting more Black-centric productions, et cetera, more things dealing with people of color. I mean, they are also in a very precarious position because yes. First off, they don't have a subscriber base like some of the bigger theaters. They depend heavily on people to come to the show by word of mouth because they don't have much of a budget for media publicity, and now people are out of work. And they don't have a lot of spendable income that they maybe had before. Now they're trying to put food on the table, trying to get their kids to school, trying to put ends together. And
Ron, weren't you just saying that you were involved in some productions that have been postponed?
Production at a Southern Rep, Chemin de Bayou, new musical written by Pamela Davis Nolan. We were supposed to do it in March and April. Now it's been pushed back to possibly September and in October.
Right.
So you just, you don't know. I mean, you can always hope for. I just hope for the best. That I mean, what's the adage? Only the strong survive. I mean, it's like you have to just figure it out. No matter what it is, if you want to keep moving forward, you gotta figure it out. And everybody, not just the little companies, but everybody's figuring it out, what to do. I mean, I got a film I got to do in probably October or November, and the COVID-19 protocol is probably that thick.
Are you doing this to Tyler Perry? Because
No,
he's got a book that big.
well, but Tyler Perry is very fortunate, and he was smart. He has basically his own compound.
Yeah.
He can bring people there. I mean, I know friends of mine who are working, matter of fact, working this week, and he flies them in on his private plane.
Right.
He puts everybody up on. It's like he's got everything in house. He doesn't need to have everybody scattered all over the place, staying at this hotel or that hotel or whatever. They can all come there, be on site, do temperature checks and all that stuff. And then they work. And I don't know how long they stay after they work, but then they work and then they can go. But how many places, is in house like that you have everything there? Sound stages, the crews, everything. So, I mean, they're going to figure it out. As Americans, let us get off of being stupid and remember that we are a great country and we can figure this out. We can figure this out. I mean, the people before us, our ancestors fought a world war. Okay? Come on, guys. Okay, this is just another kind of war where we can roll up our sleeves and figure this out. Okay? And from what you said, I mean, I get goosebumps just thinking about you just saw a live show.
Yeah.
That's so great. That's so great.
And I give them credit because they are continuing. Their next production is going to be starting at the end of August, the classic courtroom drama 12 Angry Men.
Wow.
And I can't tell you how much I am looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go see that. I haven't seen that in so long.
Yeah. Now I don't know. They haven't sent out any publicity material yet, so I'm wondering if this is going to be 12 Angry Men, 12 Angry women, 12 Angry Men and women. But in any case, I am looking forward to it. And while going up to the North Shore, going to some of the restaurants there as well that are open as well, just to support those businesses that I can only imagine are struggling.
Oh yeah. It's been hard for a lot of us, and when we can support the businesses that we like, that we want to see them survive, So
well, and again, we've had to think out of the box. Look what happened with Le Petit. They were in financial straits.
That's right.
They got together with Dickie Brennan. Dickie Brennan says, listen, you all use the theater on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sunday afternoons. I need a space that is going to have people being brought in on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays into my restaurant. And we have a common area that we can share in that patio. I can use it during the rest of the week when you all need it for your parties, etc. You can have it. And we can all get together. I can help you stay financially afloat, and you can help me by bringing people in. And again, if I need to have a special event in the theater, then maybe you can get a deal on getting the theater rented.
And right now, one of the things that I think has been great, because obviously we are not having a lot of live theater, but Le Petit has been doing these productions on, I think, alternate Friday nights of old time radio shows. That, like, the next one I think is going to be a series of Edgar Allan Poe
exactly.
readings. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think it's great to keep actors involved and doing their thing at a time where the opportunities are limited.
Well, as you know, on this very channel, we've been doing stage readings. We've done 2 out of the 3 parts of the John Bigenet Rising Water trilogy. We're going to be doing Nita and Zita, which is, of course, the Obie Award winner with Lisa D'Amour, and the original cast from Broadway, or off Broadway, as it were, with Katie Pearl and Kathy Randalls are going to be reprising their roles, and it's going to be a multimedia presentation. So it'll have video and audio portions, as well as some of the pictures of some of the work that they did on their furniture and on their walls, which was so impressive and sort of crazy. Also, we're going to have what used to be called Fleeing Katrina, or Katrina's Voices, and the name of it this time by Rob Florence is called Katrina's Path, because as Rob says, it was their path back to New Orleans. So we're going to be dealing with those as readings on Mondays right here. We've already had 2 by Rosary O'Neill of Marilyn God and Clark and Carol, which was, of course, about Clark Gable and Carol Lombard. And we also had John Broder's Brick. Of course, John Broder, the outgoing executive director of the Big Easy Theater Committee, as well as the dance committee, and as well as the music committee. Let me go back a little bit, since we're all, if you will, brothers in arms of the Big Easy Theater Committee. You talked about a class act. I would be remiss if I did not mention Gloria Powers. Gloria Powers was the real power and the genius behind what became the Big Easy Theater Awards and became the separate theater awards at one point, and then the co-joined theater and music awards, etc. She was also the genius behind the classical arts luncheon that we had. Now, unfortunately, just because the Gambit focus now is different, they have a new owner. They've decided to make it all one big event, make it more of a social networking kind of a thing. Unfortunately, social networking does not go well in real time, in a real situation during a pandemic. So they had it originally slated for April, the beginning of April. It got pushed off to, I think, June, then to now September. And the question is whether or not it's
Well,
going to
now it's been postponed again to November 1st.
Oh, really? Okay. That's
Yep.
new news for me. That's the first time I'm hearing it. And I'm on the committee. Thank you, Brian.
I just found out today because
he just told me too. So
Yeah.
don't feel bad.
Yeah. But at the same time, I would only pencil that in to your calendars because it still might change, because as we all know, this situation changes every day, every week. But I think it's important that whether we have the ceremony, the festivities or not, that it is important to recognize those people, in addition to the nominees, the winners, who we as a committee decided were the best of 2019. And I hope they'll do so. I think they will.
I mean, we got to see just a handful of productions this year, but again, as I was saying, though, Gloria Powers started it, and she's passed on. Marie Lovejoy took it over for a few years, and then of course John Broder has now been the head of it. I'm not quite sure the new publisher for Gambit, who took over, if she's going to pursue it anymore. John Georges, of course, who's the ultimate owner of both the Picayune and the Advocate, and now, of course, the Gambit, has to decide as to whether or not this is going to be part of what he's going to continue. We obviously hope that we can continue it, because if we don't do recognition locally, for our community, then a lot of people who should be, singled out.
I'm just going to toss in here that, as you know, I mentioned, when I started with Ambush with Patrick Shannon, we had the Ambi Awards for 8 years, which were similar to the other award show, but we were more inclusive. We included shows from the North Shore, Slidell, high school shows as well. So we had a really wild, wonderful mix. When he retired, I didn't want to do it all on my own. I've been talking with Tony Leggio, who's on the Big Easy committee, and is also a columnist for Ambush. And we had been hoping to bring it back for this season, but I think it's fair to say those plans and many others are up in the air right now. But we do hope to bring it back so that we can, like you said, recognize all the talent in this city.
I'd like to still maintain the Big Easy Awards, because they have the tradition of having been. You can't make a new Academy Awards. You can't make a new, a new Emmy or Grammy. And the Big Easy Awards carry with it a tradition and history. So I would like to continue that if we could. I mean, if you all want to do, a new award. I mean, I for one would love to see the Store Boone Awards come back too. The more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
And if you remember the Marquee Awards that Stanley had brought back, all of those, were not the same. They didn't honor the exact same groups. They honored different people, and different people got to be given their due and their
and I think, and you're so right, because all the actors, and Ron knows this well, you work so hard, rehearsals and performances. Unlike many other cities, it's 2 or 3 weeks at the most, and then it's gone. So that I think the really great ones stay in your mind. And I know it does in my mind months later when comes time to fill out the ballot, and I think they should be acknowledged in that way.
Oh
Well, I'll
yeah,
go
I
ahead
mean,
and give
a
her,
great
yeah,
a great show just stays in your memory bank.
For
I mean, you
years,
know,
years and years.
it just, you know, somebody mentions the show and you go, oh yeah, I saw that show. What a great show.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Absolutely.
I can tell you, you know, whether or not I got to see him through the Big Easy Committee or whether or not I saw him on my own, I am very, very thankful and blessed because I used to go to theater without being on the Big Easy Theater Committee, and there is a little
Yeah,
perk
same
in
here.
terms of there's a contract that exists between, you know, the theater producers and at that time the Big Easy Committee, which was not Gambit Magazine. For many, many years, we said it's not Gambit Magazine. Don't confuse the two. Please do not, because one is the Big Easy Theater. What was it, the FEDE, the Foundation for Excellence in Development of Education, or something like that. And then they of course sold to the John George's Advocate, and then later on he bought the Times-Picayune, and so now they have a new publisher for Gambit, and now they call it the Gambit Awards, the Gambit Big Easy Awards. So, you know, all those many years when we were told not to call it Gambit, now they want it to be called the Gambit Awards, so they have that identification. We did hear from Mr. John Bostic as well, and
John,
you know,
hey John.
all I
Hey,
can say is,
John,
can I pick
miss
him or what?
you.
John was on, of course, and Sherry Marina. Forgive me for forgetting your name the other day. I could see your face, but I just couldn't remember the name. We had the Actors Equity Group, and John was part of that, along with Meredith Long and Sean Patterson. So, you know, that was a great conversation. You know, we're getting towards the shank of the evening now, and I would like to talk a little bit about where we are, where we're going. Ron, you know, I'm going to just mention to you, because obviously you probably are a little bit more attuned to what's going on, but, you know, we are looking to go back and to be more inclusive now. You know, are there any things that you would suggest that some of the local theater companies could do, you know, to be more inclusive, to be more diverse when they start to open their doors up?
Well, since I moved back here in 1990, I've seen theater just go through the roof here in New Orleans. And a lot of the shows that I've done, I've had to tell the people in charge that you need to advertise in the Black community. I said, you know, if you want more people, you want to build an audience. I mean, okay, you have the traditional places you advertise or whatever, but you just have to go out into a community to let them know that stuff is going on if you want to be part of it. I mean, when we did um, Ruby's Bucket of Blood at the CAC, Julie Abear was the artistic director. She also wrote that musical and directed it. I mean, the first weekend, you know, was a trickle of people, but once I called a couple of churches, you know, and talked to people and let them know the show was going on. It just, you know, more people came in to see it. You know, it's not just to be more inclusive with the artists. You have to be more inclusive with the community. You know, when I did a job 2015 at the World War II Museum, BB Stage Door,
Right.
we did a show called On the Air
Sure.
with Troy Bichet.
Gary Rucker, Sean Patterson was in it as well.
No,
Adela.
no, that was the first one. We did
Oh,
On
you
the
did
Air.
one here too.
We did the
Okay. Yeah.
second
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike Deakins and Tom Hooks,
Right.
okay, with live band and everything. It's like we fought to get an audience. I mean, it's the big World War II museum. We fought to get so, and I said the same thing to Victoria. Victoria, you got to let the Black community know the show is going on, because people
Right.
would come to see this show. It's a great show. It was totally new. I mean, we got casted, and then they wrote the script. I
Right.
mean, first time in my life I've ever said, you know, somebody say, okay, now that we have you, now we got to write the script for you guys.
Right. But I
It's great.
will add one thing too. The World War II Museum they also did a fantastic production of Ain't Misbehavin'.
Oh yeah,
That had Polanco Jones. And, I mean, at Lawrence. It was, I think, his first outing. Jarrell Hamilton was in it as well. Remember?
It was a good show. Great show.
Just a wonderful, wonderful cast, and they danced their what off, and they sang fantastic. I just loved it, and I just asked. As a matter of fact, I was talking to one of the people over there. I said, "How well did that show do?" They said, "We did well, but we could have done better." And so that's the thing. That's the aggravating thing.
That's what I mean.
See a show like that, and I see empty seats. That is disturbing because.
But the problem in this town is that if people would appreciate and enjoy and pay attention to theater as much as they do the Saints, we'd be in business.
Here I am, right?
But there's a fixation on that,
Yeah.
and I was just talking to someone the other day that if you put a Saints player or anyone related to the Saints in a show here, it would be sold out in minutes. And that's just the nature of the beast. And Ron, you're right. There has to be extra work done to reach out to the people who may not even know about what's going on, but once they do, they'll come.
Know. Exactly. Don't even know. Okay, my friends and family and people that know me in the business, yeah, of course, all of them came to see, and they, oh God, this show is great, but I never heard about it. And then the little thing in the newspaper was, like that big or something. You know what I mean? So it's like, come on, guys. If you really want to feel, I mean, look, the World War II Museum, they got tons of money. So they weren't even thinking about, well, they got to break even or they didn't have to worry about that.
They have a budget too. If they lose money on a show, they're going to be thinking seriously about whether or not they bring it back again or bring back that similar type of show.
But you have to spend money to make money.
Yes, you do.
Like Ron was saying, if you would put a few ads into some of the other media here.
Just a little bit. I mean, because look at the NOLA project. I don't think I've gone to see any NOLA projects shows, and it was half full. It was mostly full.
Right.
No matter where they were, out in the garden, in the lobby at the museum.
They know marketing.
They do a great job in marketing what they do. Yeah. And that's what they have to get better at. And with this COVID-19 thing, they better get better at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you remember there was a production that Tommy Myrick did of Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill? It was way out.
That was great.
Way out. It was a wonderful show.
It was great.
And it got no publicity whatsoever. I don't know if they were, because it was way far out, a new venue nobody knew about. But again, one of those shows that should have had more butts in the seats,
And it was great. It was a great show.
But Sharon, you know what? When I saw Sharon Martin was wonderful, and if I recall correctly, when I saw it, it was a pretty full house because Tommy has developed her own mailing list.
Well, she did, but there could have been more.
Sure, no question.
You see those great shows, and then you wonder. Listen, I did want to mention you mentioned the World War II Museum, and I want to put my banner at the bottom again. We're going to have all of the stage door idols, every one of them, from the very first one, which was Chase Kamada, and yes, that's Leah Chase's daughter and granddaughter.
Right.
Leah Chase,
granddaughter, yes.
The granddaughter, and also her mother is the singer, Leah Chase, and has been a judge in the Big Easy, the Stage Door Idol competition. She was number 1 Stage Door Idol winner, and then we're going to have all the way up to number 10, who was Brittany Williams, and of course everybody in between, all the other ladies and man. Spencer Rocco was the first man back, I think, in 2016 or so. So we're going to have all of those people on Monday. Please do join us on Monday night for that gathering, because we're not having a competition this year due to the COVID-19 situation. Right. And so I thought it was a great opportunity. Right now we'd be in the middle of the competition, and everybody be gearing up for, who's going to be the Stage Door Idol this year. Well, that's not happening. So I hope that everybody will join us. We're going to have
I'm going to give a shout out to April Louise, who I was on the panel, who named her in the preliminaries, and she went on to win that year.
She did. I've got pictures of all of them, and they're all going to be there in flesh. Now, I'm still waiting to hear back from a couple of them. We got to do some mic checks, but I've been saying, look, we got 10 of you winners. I got to get y'all to come in and do mic checks ahead of time because I don't know whether or not they're going to have a problem if it's incompatible with the software that we have to get them on the air. We did get one more comment before we go too long. John Bostic came back and said we were an elite group, which of course we knew that already. Thank you,
Thank you, John.
one of my friends from Tulane, Bob Dabney, who I think at one time worked with the city. Bob is a longtime friend of mine. He says, thanks for an enlightening discussion, and we appreciate his comments. Again, if anybody has any comments or questions, we'd love to hear from you. Just go on your Facebook comments, put it on there, and make sure that StreamYard.com/Facebook is noted. We've got about 10 minutes left before the end of the broadcast, so we have a few more items.
I'd just like to say that, you asked about how are things going to be going forward.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfortunate that at this point we just don't know. For even all of the big companies here in New Orleans, they're waiting to see that. I think we were all hoping for corona virus cases to go down, which we had hoped by now, because people like Ron said had rescheduled Chemin de Bayou first for June, now for the fall. And if people are not comfortable gathering in large groups,
Right.
you can't have it. So hopefully we will bring the cases down and people will feel safe again soon, but it may just not be until there is a vaccine and people can really feel safe in the way that you feel safe during flu season. You get the vaccine and you go out and you go about your business.
Exactly.
And I wish one of us would have a better answer, but
yeah, we don't.
Each day is a new thing.
Brian, you mentioned I asked Ron about how do we become more inclusive? Are we inclusive enough of the LGBT community? I remember seeing transcripts not that long ago. And that was again Tomi Myrick, production that she did, dealing with the trans community and dealing with some of the issues that they have. I mean, are we inclusive enough of these sorts of things? And I think we're pretty good about some of the things, but I'm wondering whether or not we still have a way to go.
I think overall, yes. I think in terms of the trans community, in terms of acting, no. And I would bring up as an example Brooklyn Schaefer, who made the transition a few years ago and has stated that she has not been employed as much as she had been previously, which is a shame because she's such a wonderful actress.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just saw her recently in one of the Grenadine McDunkles where they did a Zoom meeting, which was only 10 minutes long, but it was brought back how wonderful they are. And that someone like her, who as talented as she is, has not been able to find or given roles now, I think we need to step up to the plate, and by we I mean the various theater companies around town.
I think what the problem is you want to offer a role to somebody who is a transgender person for a transgender role usually, I guess. But as an example, if you remember on TV, we had that wonderful. Some people liked it, not everybody. The Rocky Horror Picture Show, and was it Cox?
Laverne Cox.
Laverne Cox was the role of Frankenfurter, and I don't think many people expected to be done by somebody who was first off playing as a woman rather than as a man, sort of playing transvestite role. I guess that's what they called it, and then that's politically incorrect to use the term transvestite now. But at that time, and the song said so, etc. I think that it was a great leap that somebody who was a producer said let's put her in into that role. I don't know whether or not a regular role, like for instance somebody playing the role of like Maria in West Side Story, who's a trans person, would they be able to do that if they could pull off the singing part of it?
In my lifetime, I've seen where when there's a will, there is a way. That people do figure it out. but you have to have the will first. So if you're open to doing better, then you'll figure it out. You know, it's going to be different for this group over here. It's going to be different for this group over there. And, you know, but we all come together and say, we all have a common goal. And then, like we were talking about earlier, you get the right people and you cast people and stuff, it makes it more entertaining anyway. And what's the bottom line? You want to entertain people. So if you got a great actor or actress, I mean, it's like, and they can pull it off. It's better for everybody. You know, I mean, it's just great shows, great theater, great TV, great film. Isn't that what it's all about? I mean, who sets out to do something mediocre? That's not a goal, right?
And I think what's interesting is that I think some of the greatest things that we've seen are those where the producers and the directors have taken the greatest chances.
Exactly.
And sometimes they will fall on their faces, but more often than not, especially when there are talented people involved, you go, gee, why didn't somebody think of that beforehand? So why not cast Brooklyn in a Tennessee Williams play?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
and look, think about the endless possibilities with Shakespeare. Oh God.
Absolutely.
I mean,
of course.
you know, I mean, it's just endless possibilities.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
one of the things that I would love to see done, because when it comes to the classics here, we get a lot of Shakespeare, we get a lot of Tennessee Williams. We don't get a lot of much else. I would love to see some of the classics like Moliere and Ibsen and Chekhov and Shaw done with those scripts, but redone and adapted to a New Orleans setting, and
That's
have
right.
a more diverse cast members and tell those stories, but in a new and updated way. And I think that would be a wonderful way going forward.
Well, listen, guys,
I mean,
you know, we're getting down to the end of the evening, so I really want to kind of wrap things up a little bit, but I wanted to ask you, Ron, what's going to get you into a theater? I mean, do you feel safe going back now? Do you think that what we have in place with the thick regulations is going to get you in, or does it matter?
I was talking to my agent today, you know, and it's like I want to work because this is what I love to do, but I'm going to trust my gut. I know they're going to do all the things possible to make it safe, but I was telling Brian earlier, you know, I was Howie Mandel before Howie Mandel. You know, the hand sanitizer.
Right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I've been fist bumping for years. Okay. So it's like, it's not going to take a whole lot for me to not work, because with the self-protection and then whatever else they do with the temperature check and stuff like that, you know, we're going to work our way through it, man. We can't live in a closet for the next 5 years or something. You know what I mean? We gotta get out there and, you know, smartly, you know, not being a dummy, and you know, let's keep it rolling, because like you said, people want to see live theater, man. They want to see live shows. I mean, just think, no live shows in New Orleans. Can you believe that?
No live.
Did you ever think you'd ever?
I mean, look, you know, the Broadway, you know, circuit, it generates billions of dollars. That and all of those actors, all of those conductors, all those music directors, all those choreographers, all the tech people, everybody's out of work.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Everybody's out of work.
Brian, anything you want to add before we, you know, cap off the evening? Again, thank you very much for being part of the.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I just hope that, and I don't know if this has to do with North Shore versus Orleans Parish, that the theaters here will be able to take the necessary steps to protect cast members, crew members, and audience members, and go forward.
Exactly.
Well, very good. Well, I want to thank again Ronald Flagge for being with us tonight. Ron Flagge, appreciate you being here, and Brian Sands as well. All of us on the Big Easy Theater Committee. But again, you know, it's a wonderful time when we can get together, talk about theater. Now, the next time we want to get together, we want to actually have seen theater all of us,
Right.
not just one of us. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you again, Brian.
Cheers
Appreciate
to
it.
that.
All right.
Thank you,
Take care.
guys.
Thank you.
All right. And again, my name is Alan Smason. I want to thank you all for being with me tonight. This has been NOLA Theater Talk. And again, those of you who are watching it, hopefully are watching it on either the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group. It'll be archived on the group if you want. If you want to check it out on theatercriticism.com Facebook page, it'll be there, or on my own YouTube music lovers site if you want to check that out as well. And again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight for our conversation with Brian Sands and Ron Flagge. Don't forget, Monday night, all the Stage Door Idols will be with us. And until that time, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you at the theater.